Welcome, Seeker, to the next chapter in the journey of Elias, a man whose quest transcended the physical, venturing deep into the mysteries of the soul and the ancient art of alchemy. Today, we unravel the intricate path of spiritual transformation, a path Elias walked with courage and curiosity, guided by symbols, rituals, and timeless wisdom. Alchemy, often misunderstood as mere attempts to turn base metals into gold, is in truth a profound metaphor for inner transformation. It is the art of purifying the soul, transmuting the darkness within into light, and unlocking the divine spark hidden in every human being. Elias's journey began long before he ever touched the philosopher's stone or deciphered the cryptic Codex Nocturnum. His path was paved with visions, dreams, and encounters that challenged his understanding of reality. The forest around his village whispered secrets. The stars above sang in cryptic tongues. Through these signs, Elias sensed a call, not just to knowledge, but to awakening. The call to transformation. The first step on the alchemist's path is often described as calcination, a burning away of the ego, the false self that clings to worldly illusions. For Elias, this was no mere symbolic act, but a tangible experience. He faced inner turmoil, confronting fears, desires, and attachments that clouded his vision. The fire of calcination was both terrifying and cleansing, reducing his old self to ashes so a new self could emerge. This phase was marked by intense solitude and reflection. Elias would retreat into the depths of the forest, where silence spoke louder than words, and the natural world revealed its hidden rhythms. Here, he began to understand the necessity of destruction as a precursor to creation. The meeting with the mentor. It was during these trials that he met Maela, the wise elder who introduced him to the ancient texts and the Hermetic principles that would guide him. Maela was a keeper of forgotten wisdom, a bridge between the old ways and the new. She taught Elias about the sacred motto of alchemy, solve et coagula, to dissolve and to coagulate. To dissolve is to break down old patterns, beliefs, and identities. To coagulate is to rebuild anew, stronger and purer. Elias learned that true alchemy requires patience, humility, and a willingness to journey through the shadow. Maela's teachings revealed that the transformation was not only external, but profoundly internal, a reshaping of the soul itself. The four elements as spiritual stages. As he delved deeper, Elias discovered the symbolic importance of the four classical elements: earth, fire, air, and water. These elements were not just physical substances, but represented stages of spiritual growth and challenges. Earth grounded him, reminding him of his mortal roots and the importance of humility. It symbolized the beginning, the foundation upon which all transformation is built. Fire purified his intentions and passions, burning away impurities and false desires. It was the force that enabled rebirth through destruction. Air lifted his thoughts to higher realms, inspiring insight and clarity. It represented communication with the divine and the awakening of the mind. Water cleansed his emotions and intuition, washing away confusion and fear. It was the element of deep feeling and receptivity. Together, these elements formed a holistic framework that Elias used to navigate his spiritual trials. The dark night of the soul. Throughout his journey, Elias kept a journal filled with sketches, cryptic notes, and reflections. One passage spoke of a dark night of the soul, a phase where all seemed lost. And yet, it was the threshold to rebirth. In this darkness, Elias confronted his deepest fears and limitations, emerging transformed, a spiritual phoenix rising from ashes. This period was marked by feelings of abandonment, confusion, and despair. Yet it was precisely this abyss that became the crucible for his transformation. The dark night was a stripping away of illusions, a painful but necessary step toward awakening. The Codex Nocturnum and Hidden Symbols. The Codex Nocturnum, which he once viewed as an enigma, began to reveal its true nature. A manual for inner alchemy, a guide to awakening the latent divine within. Symbols that once confused him now sang with clarity. The Ouroboros, the Phoenix, the Hermetic Caduceus, all spoke of cycles, renewal, and balance. Elias learned to read these symbols as a language of the soul, each one a key unlocking a deeper layer of consciousness. The Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail, symbolized the eternal cycle of death and rebirth. The Phoenix, rising from its ashes, embodied resurrection and transformation. The Caduceus, entwined serpents around a staff, represented duality and harmony, sacrifice and solitude. Elias's transformation was not without sacrifice. He distanced himself from the mundane world, often walking alone in the wilderness, meditating for hours, and fasting to purify body and mind. Yet, he was never truly isolated. The whispers of ancient masters, the presence of unseen guides, and the eternal rhythms of nature accompanied him. His body became a temple, his mind a vessel for higher wisdom. These sacrifices were the price of awakening, a shedding of the old self to embrace the infinite. The inner laboratory, the mind and soul, as the alchemist's crucible. Elias soon realized that the true laboratory of the alchemist was not a physical place, but the inner world of mind and soul. Every trial, every vision, every symbolic ritual was a step in the grand experiment of transforming the self. He understood that the alchemical elements represented facets of his own psyche. The lead of his unresolved traumas, fears, and doubts could be transformed into the gold of wisdom, love, and enlightenment through conscious effort and surrender. Meditations became his daily practice, visualizing the purifying fire burning through his fears, the cleansing waters washing away pain, the grounding earth providing stability, and the invigorating air bringing clarity and insight. Each session was like mixing the elements in a sacred cauldron, waiting for the perfect transmutation. The philosopher's stone, beyond the material. The legendary philosopher's stone was often seen as the ultimate prize of alchemy. Elias, however, learned that it symbolized the perfected self, the state of enlightenment where dualities dissolve and one experiences unity with all that is. This stone was not an object but a living reality, a state of consciousness where the alchemist has harmonized body, mind, and spirit. Elias's quest for the stone became a journey inward, moving beyond illusions and embracing his true nature, the symbolism of the alchemical wedding. One of the most mysterious and poetic rituals Elias studied was the alchemical wedding, the union of opposites, masculine and feminine, light and dark, conscious and unconscious. This sacred marriage symbolized the integration of all parts of the self into a harmonious whole. Elias meditated deeply on this union, feeling how his fragmented inner world slowly knitted together, balancing shadow and light, strength and compassion. Trials and temptations on the path. The path was not free of hardship. Elias faced temptations to abandon his quest, comfort, fear, doubt, and the pull of worldly desires. These moments tested his resolve and forced him to confront his own weaknesses. Yet, each temptation was also a lesson. By facing them head-on, he strengthened his will and deepened his understanding of the nature of reality and illusion. The role of nature and the cosmos. Elias's journey was intertwined with the rhythms of nature and the cosmos. He observed the cycles of the moon, the changing seasons, and the movement of stars as reflections of inner processes. The Hermetic principle, as above, so below, resonated deeply, understanding that the microcosm of his soul mirrored the macrocosm of the universe. This cosmic connection gave him perspective and a sense of belonging beyond the limits of his village. The final transmutation, becoming the alchemist. In the culmination of his journey, Elias did not find a magical elixir or secret formula, but discovered the profound truth that the alchemist is the one who dares to face their own darkness and light, who walks the path of transformation with courage and compassion. He became both seeker and sage, student and master, a living embodiment of the alchemical process. Reflection and invitation. To this day, the legacy of Elias reminds us that transformation is possible, that within the crucible of life's challenges lies the potential for gold, the golden light of awakened being. As you reflect on Elias's path, ask yourself, what parts of your own shadow are ready to be burned away? What old beliefs or fears must dissolve for you to emerge renewed? The alchemist's journey is both personal and universal, a call to transmute suffering into wisdom, darkness into light. Thank you for walking this path with us. Stay curious, stay courageous, and remember, the true gold lies not in the material but in the alchemy of the soul.